Well, Biden's border crisis, already at historic proportions, is worsening day by day. Now, Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland wants to add to the problems, drafting a plan that prevents ICE from deporting really bad illegal migrants. Joining me now for this special edition of Kudlow is Pam Bondi, former Florida Attorney General and AFPI Law and Justice co-chair, and Kim Strassel, Wall Street Journal columnist and a Fox News contributor. Ladies, great to see you. So, Pam, just to describe what's happening here, the U.S. Marshals Service, which is under the control of AG Garland, has issued a new protocol directing its marshals and the deputies to essentially ignore these detainers. That detains really bad immigrants that ICE has spotted. So essentially, it's let them go free, right?
It is, and David, I feel so bad for the great men and women in the U.S. Marshal's Office, for Border Patrol, for all of these agents who are out there working tirelessly every day to see this happening to our country. When I was Attorney General, I went to Mexico on an official mission. I dealt with human trafficking in Mexico, what they're doing. I saw firsthand what's coming across our border and what we were stopping by building the wall. Now it's a free-for-all, and we're hearing every single day on the news, kids are getting killed by fentanyl. The junk is made in China, sent to Mexico, and being walked right across our border, and now we're opening our doors and letting it all in, along with the murderers, the sex offenders, the human traffickers, but the drug dealers that are really getting our kids on the street with this stuff. It's horrible, and it's got to stop, and I don't see why they won't enforce our border and support our great men and women in law enforcement.
I don't either. Well, Kim, this is really turning the whole country into a sanctuary city, right?
Well, I mean, this is quite remarkable because if this report is true, David, essentially this would be the Attorney General of the United States telling a federal law enforcement agency to actively obstruct the statutorily defined obligation and mission of another federal law enforcement agency. I've never heard of anything like that in my life, but it really does show, you know, one of the things that the Biden administration and Democrats has said is, well, yes, people are coming across the border, but we're keeping track of them, and at some point they'll have a hearing, and if necessary and they don't have asylum claims, they'll be deported. Well, what is this? Seems to be come, and no matter what you do, no matter what crime you've committed, how bad, we're still going to let you stay, and we're going to actively obstruct those who are trying to make that happen.
It's a catch and release. It's another catch and release. And Pam, we've seen that in city after city after city in the United States. I mean, in New York, the most recent example of this guy who sucker punched another guy who was standing behind him at a bar. So, I mean, didn't even know the guy, had a steel glove, essentially, smacked him down. The guy fell down, broke his head open. He's got a concussion. I think he may still be in a coma. This guy was walked out of jail. The Daily Mail spotted him walking out of jail. I think it was earlier today. There he is, the guy holding the paper up. We see you anyway, buddy. But the point is, he's out on the streets again. And then you had Lululemon. You just had another case of smash and grab at a Lululemon here today in New York City. This is in 14th Street in New York City. It's just now they are sort of finding a way to nationalize this problem.
Yeah, David, they are. And, you know, it's really not even catch and release. It's just release. They're doing nothing to track these people. Nothing. There is no accountability, no responsibility. And frankly, after September 11th, it's appalling that terrorists can be coming into our country again, and no one is stopping them. No one is doing things. And our great men and women in law enforcement, the NYPD, their lives are in jeopardy, trying to protect the citizens against all of these armed robbers, these carjackings. In my career, my very long career as a prosecutor, I have never seen anything like this. But the problem is, once again, when you have these liberal mayors like Muriel Bowser, who's saying, we welcome you all, come to Washington, D.C., and now look what a mess D.C. is. Two cab drivers have told me very recently in D.C., they're scared. They're scared to be driving down the streets. Then New York, like you said, you've got a liberal mayor. It's unbelievable. And then a police chief, Alvin Braggs, and they're saying, come to New York and look what's happening. It's crime-ridden, and New York is a wonderful place, and we've got to get it back there, but it's just not safe.
Used to be the safest city. It's extraordinary,
Kim. Safe.
When I look at what's happening in the city, because we know what works and we know what doesn't work. What they're trying now doesn't work. We know that. But there is pushback. And what Texas Governor Abbott did in terms of busing some of these migrants that they're dealing with down there to Washington, D.C., to New York City. Even a Democrat, the former governor of the state of New York, Governor Patterson, chimed in on this the other day. Let me just roll a little bit of that sound. Go ahead, roll tape.
Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, has come up with, I think, is one of the most brilliant political strategies I've heard in a long time. Now, I'm a Democrat, and there are a lot of things I don't like about what he's really doing. However, sometimes you have to tip your cap to your opponent.
So, Kim, is Governor Patterson right?
Yeah. Well, look, what essentially Abbott is doing is exposing that these policies of sanctuary cities are not politically cost-free, as many Democrats thought they would be when they embraced them, whether on the presidential campaign trail or these mayors of different cities. And now they've got a double problem, because not only are they scrambling to try to find shelter and resettle these people, but look, remember what the definition of a sanctuary city is. It's one in which local law enforcement says it's not going to work with federal law enforcement to remove anybody either. So now it's committed to not only trying to find places, but not being able to do anything with these populations of people who are coming in.
Yeah. I just want to touch on another subject, Pam, and that's what happened in Mar-a-Lago, the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago. We had this sort of non-decision decision of the judge. He's going to look into redacting the affidavit in order to come out with clear idea of what it is that the FBI gave to the judge that authorized the warrant, the raid on Mar-a-Lago. It seems to me, and I don't have any inside information, maybe you do, but that they're really trying to stretch it out as long as possible to make the midterm elections about Donald Trump rather than the awful state of the nation. What do you think?
David, that's exactly what they're doing. And Kim Strassel wrote an excellent piece in the Wall Street Journal on this. Brilliant reporting, as usual, by Kim Strassel. Brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to stretch it out. That's what this was all about, because Donald Trump is the single biggest threat to the progressive movement in this country. They've tried everything to stop him, and it hasn't worked. And they're going to continue. But you can't beat them. You can't stop them. And, yeah, they're going to try to drag this out as long as they can. This affidavit, this judge did not like Donald Trump. Right. We know that. He said bad things about him. I mean, we could go on and on. But the American people see through this, and it's what Kim said in her article. People see through this. This is going to backfire on the Democrats. You know, they think they get this short-term win of raiding Mar-a-Lago. Long-term, it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt the Democratic Party, and it's going to help everyone in the midterms who's a Republican and the presidency in 2024.
Kim, I give you the last word, but I'm afraid we only have about 15 seconds. But wrap it up. How will this end up affecting the midterms?
Well, look, I think that it has put more attention on Donald Trump, but I think that for any bit of energy that this gives to Democrats, it gives equally as much to Republicans who feel as though this has once again been law enforcement potentially overstepping its bounds.
All right, ladies, wonderful discussion. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.